Okay, the first thing we're going to go through is joining and applying opportunities. Now, I'm aware that this has been an issue with a number of our users. We are due to do a big overhaul of this function within the next couple of updates. But until then, if I show you, explain how it works, hopefully it will help you kind of navigate your way through creating these types of opportunities. So, whether you're a provider or an administrator, you go to create opportunity, and you fill in all the details, and there's an option down here that says joining or applying. Now, joining is essentially first come, first serve. So most of your opportunities should be joining. The only applying opportunities you should have is if there is an application process, there is a shortlisting process, and there is a definite start where all volunteers start at the same time. Like a job, for example. With a job, people apply, and then there's a definite start. You do a shortlisting process, then there is a definite start date. So that is when you can use applying. Now, even if there's an application process, but there is no definite start date, i.e. it's kind of ongoing, so say it goes on for 12 months, something like that, and you're going to have people kind of joining and leaving that opportunity throughout that 12 months, then that cannot be an applying opportunity because there is not a definitive start point for all volunteers who have joined it. They're going to be starting as and when they see the opportunity over the 12-month period. So that's why most of your opportunities will have to be joining. Now, if you do set it to applying, what happens is once you set it to applying, it does change your communication, and it says thank you for applying. You'll be informed at a later date if you are successful. And when you go to the opportunity, you find an opportunity on here. So imagine you've created the opportunity, you've set it as applying, say 10 volunteers have joined that opportunity, and now you've got to do the shortlisting process. Okay, so let me find an opportunity with some volunteers on it. Hopefully there's one here with a few volunteers. No, there's not. There's one here with one volunteer. I can show you one volunteer. So click on the manage button, click on the volunteers. This is where you'd be doing your shortlisting process. So at this stage here, you'd be either clicking on the volunteer's name to see their information. You'd be able to obviously see any details, whether they require accessibility support, for example. And once you're happy with that particular volunteer being on the opportunity, you would click on that tick button there. That's basically just a note to yourself to make yourself aware that, okay, this person has applied and I'm happy for them to make the shortlist. Now, once you've gone through, if you decided the volunteer, was not suitable for the opportunity, then you click on the remove from the opportunity button, and that would send them an email informing them that they've been removed. So what you're going to end up with is either volunteers, a load of volunteers which have ticks on them, because all the ones that don't have ticks would have been removed from the opportunity and would have been informed automatically via email by clicking that button there. So once you've got a list of all the volunteers who are on the opportunity and you're happy that they should stay on there, they are successful, that's when you'd click on the confirm. There's a big confirm button that appears up here, and you click on the confirm opportunity button, and that then sends an email to those remaining volunteers saying congratulations, you are on this opportunity. But obviously that doesn't work if you've got this kind of rolling on and rolling off, with volunteers rolling on and rolling off the same opportunity, because you haven't got that specific date. So that's why you would always, in that instance, you would always choose joining and create it as a joining opportunity. Now keep in mind, if you do create it as a joining opportunity, then the communication they're going to get is going to say kind of congratulations, we'll see you on the day. So make sure in the description that you make it quite clear that there is a shortlisting aspect to this opportunity. Okay, so hopefully that's a bit clearer. Okay, so in order to edit an existing opportunity that you've created, go down to your opportunities. This is logged in as provider, by the way, in this particular example, but you'll have the same kind of option. I think it says opportunities or your opportunities on the admin side as well. And list the opportunities here. Find the opportunity you want to edit, click on manage. Okay, then down here we've got this side menu here. Now if we go down to details, that will show us all the details that we entered in when we created the opportunity. So you can change your, the title or the description, whether it's joining or applying, etc. Now, one of the things people are querying is the ability to copy an opportunity. So there's a number of reasons you might want to copy an opportunity. If you have a number of opportunities which are identical in description, but they are at different locations. So for example, you might have an opportunity to help out in a library, but it might be 5 libraries spread across the city. Then they are different opportunities because they're all at different locations, although the skills and the kind of the description stuff are identical. So you would probably create one, the first opportunity, and then you'd copy it, and once you've copied it, you'd just be changing the location over. Then you copy it again and change the location until you've done that to cover the 5 different locations. It may be the opposite way around. It may be that actually when they're taking place is exactly the same. So maybe it's on an event or something like that. You said, well, I've got 5 opportunities here. They're all doing different things, but it's all on the same event taking place at the same time. I need them here at the same time. So you might create the first opportunity, then copy, and then on the second opportunity you just change it over the description and the kind of skills that are required, etc. So to copy an opportunity, we've got one here which is called Flexible Op with an Area Location. It's just on the demo site. So the name of it's Flexible Op with an Area Location. So if I go down here on the side menu, I've got Convert and Copy. So if I click on that there, it says I can either convert it, which I'm not interested, but I want to copy it. So copy opportunity. Once I click copy, at that point it creates a copy of the opportunity as you'd expect. Now, what I'd imagine might be confusing some people is this time shifting thing. So this time shifting thing, this is about it lets you basically say, okay, I'll have and we've copied this opportunity, but do you want to change all the sessions to kind of forward in time? So say if I had an opportunity which took place 1 year ago, and I say, oh, you know what, it's exactly the same opportunity, it's for the same event just a year later. Then rather than having to change over the dates of all those sessions, I could just go in here and choose to time shift it by 1 year, and that would create it exactly 365 days ahead, and all the sessions would be exactly 365 days ahead. So that's about time shifting, but you may not need to time shift. If you don't, then just ignore it. Okay, if you just want it, if you're just changing over, like for example the locations, like the library, first example I gave with the libraries, then you don't need to time shift it. So you go down here and we've got an exact copy now. If I go back to the opportunities, you'll see we have, actually let me change the name of this one. So we've now got 2 opportunities called Flexible Op with an Area Location. So if I go to details and call that copy there and save it, when I go back to the opportunities, you will see it in there. Your opportunities, Flexible Op with Area Location, Flexible Op with Area Location copy. As you can see, all the dates are exactly the same. Everything's identical apart from their name at the moment. Okay. Now, if I wanted to change a location, then obviously before I saved it, I would have created the copy and I would have gone down to location, and I would have clicked on change, this location here, click on change, and I would change the location of it. Okay, I hope that's useful. As for changing the type of opportunity, so like I said, you might want to change a location, or you might want to change an opportunity so it's no longer a flexible opportunity. It's a session-based opportunity instead, which means you know exactly when and for how long it's going to be taking place. And rather than taking place over a 3-month period, it's just okay, it's every Tuesday night, 7 o'clock for 2 hours, for example. In which case, you go down to the same option down here, and you say convert and copy. But this time, we're not interested in the copy function; we're interested in the convert. So this one is a flexible opportunity as it stands. So it's one long session, essentially, is the way the system looks at it. We're going to convert it into a regular opportunity. So click on convert to regular, and now that's done. So when I go down to the sessions, I have that one session there, starts at 9 o'clock, but I can now go and add additional sessions in there. So okay, I'm going to put the session in there. Now we've got 2 sessions in there. So that's changing from a flexible to a session based, which is like your repeating or non-repeating opportunities. Just to reinforce, if you know exactly when and for how long the opportunity is going to take place, then it's a session based opportunity. So it's you know, either repeating or non-repeating. So when you go to create the opportunity at the bottom, you've got this repeating and non-repeating. So if you know when and for how long, it's repeating or non-repeating. If you do not know that, and you're going to discuss it directly with a volunteer and kind of work it around their lectures, or you know, you're going to discuss it around their timetable, then it's a flexible opportunity. Okay, so when we talk about converting, we're converting from a flexible to a session based, which is repeating, non-repeating, or vice versa. Okay, I hope that's useful. Okay, the next one is adding existing volunteers. Now, you can't there's no option here for you to kind of add and enter in the details of the volunteer for quite obvious reasons, I suppose. If you did, then you wouldn't know what their passwords are, and they would need passwords to log in to be able to join. You know, to log in and see what opportunities they're on and join other opportunities. So we can't allow you to kind of add volunteers, although they can. What you can do is send them to a page where if they register on your provider profile page, then they're automatically linked to you, so you can see their information and you can add them to your opportunities, for example. So if you go to account details, your public profile, most of you are probably aware of this, you've got the ability here to kind of create your provider profile page. It's like a mini web page which sits within the volunteer system. That's the web address of the mini web page, and if you send anybody to that web page, they would see, click on here, they would see this page here. Okay, now it shows just your opportunities and information related to you as a provider. I've also got registered to access these opportunities. If they click on this button here, then it will automatically link the volunteer through to yourself as a provider, which means that when you're on here and you go to manage volunteers, your linked volunteers, you'll be able to see them there. Even your volunteers will do it. You'll be able to see them there in the list, and from here you can communicate with them or drop them emails or whatever else you want to be able to do with them. I hope that's useful. Okay, next one is emails, messaging. So we do capture, obviously if you want to email volunteers, you normally go down to your volunteers page and click on your search your volunteers, and it will show you all volunteers that have been linked to you or kind of have ever been on any of your opportunities. And from here you can select them, and you can go down to email selected volunteers. You can email them that way. There's no problem in doing that. That works perfectly fine. Now, if you want to see, I think the question is about being able to see what emails have been sent and what emails have been received. Now, if you go to account details, down to email log, okay, we've got on the left-hand side, we've got inbox and sent. So this will show you all information of kind of communications that have been received by you as a provider, and information or communications that have been sent. Now there are going to be some holes in this, because obviously if you send out an email from the system, so you go to an opportunity and you send an email out saying remember to bring your raincoats tomorrow, then that email will go out and it will be sent out directly to those volunteers. But if those volunteers reply, and they reply just to your personal email address, so not replying to the system, replying to your personal email address, then obviously the system doesn't know that that's happened. It's a direct communication between the volunteer and the volunteer's email account and your email account. It's kind of bypassed the system. But a couple of questions come up in regards to provider contacts, and one of them is asking why we only allow one email address per provider. I mean, the main key reason is obviously they're logging in. So when you log in as opportunity provider, it asks for an email address and password. Now, the email address will obviously go through to a particular account. So if you've got more than one account, then it'll have to suddenly accept multiple email addresses to send you through to the same log you in as the same provider, which is going to create an issue. But then the key issue really for me is the communications. So if you have multiple accounts and then a volunteer joins an opportunity, if you have multiple email addresses linked to the same provider account and the volunteer joins that opportunity, then there's no way of knowing who's responded to that volunteer. So one provider might respond to them and email them and say, thanks, I'll see you on the Monday morning. Then the other providers have no idea that that first provider's actually contacted them. They are separate providers. They're all doing separate jobs. Now, quite often we find you'll have a provider which will be the name of the organization, but they have maybe 3 people who are creating opportunities. Well, there probably is some kind of definition in place which dictates what opportunities those 3 people create. Okay, so whether it's geographical, whether it's kind of north, south, central or something like that, or whether it's to do with the types of opportunities that are being created, there still is some kind of there's some kind of logic behind who creates and who manages those opportunities. In which case, then they should be set up as 3 separate providers with slightly different names. So it could be kind of my organisation dash north, my organisation dash south, my organisation dash central. But they are 3 separate providers who are creating their own distinct volunteer opportunities. So hopefully that clears up why we set it up in that particular way. Another question which seems to quite frequently come up is, why do volunteers need an email address? And why do they need to register before joining ops? I suppose it's 2 separate questions. An answer to the first question, why do they need an email address? Because they need an email to log in and obviously to receive any communications. Now, as you may well be aware, within the latest update, we've allowed administrators to be able to add volunteers themselves without an email address. So let me just show you now. If I log in as an administrator on the demo system, and you've got an option right at the top under volunteer management, you've got create volunteer, and it does ask for an email address and password, but as you can see, they're not red boxes, they're grey, which means that they're not mandatory. So we can just skip past them if we want, just completely ignore them, put nothing in at all, and go to the next button. Now that's fine, it'll register them as a volunteer and we can capture their kind of basic information, and they can even join opportunities, or you can join it on their behalf if you know what I mean. But obviously they won't be able to receive any communications via email because we haven't registered their email address on the system. Now this is flagged up to people who are running the opportunities to let them know that they need to phone this person, and there's no point emailing them because they won't receive it. So people who are running the opportunities are aware that this volunteer does not have an email address. Now obviously that's, the best case scenario is they do have an email address. The reason being is that they can log in and they can manage their opportunities and they can receive communications without the providers having to phone around. So that's why we ask for email addresses. But as you can see, as I've just showed you, there's a way to do it without email addresses for some of the ALDA volunteers. Secondly, you've said need to register before joining opportunities. Yeah, they need to, obviously, in order to join an opportunity, we need to capture their basic information, and we need to, things like their emergency contact details, even to, their date of birth and the location. We use this information, you see, to obviously show them the correct search results. So if they don't register, then we have no way of knowing how old they are. The person could be 10 years old and we have no idea. So until they register, that's when we know the basic information about them, so we can decide whether they are eligible to get on particular opportunities. So we do need every volunteer to be registered on the system before they join any opportunity. I hope that clears up.